Justin, a member of the Pro Wrestling Playbook, asked, traditionally, he took a break. I think he said he was out of wrestling for like 3 years. And prior to that, he traditionally wrestled for what he called renegade promotions, where a lot of the misfit wrestlers work. The Pro Wrestling Playbook and the area with which this video is, and you're watching it, it's a safe space. And 90% of the folks that are going to be involved in this community and these classes are in the professional wrestling industry. Let's not sugarcoat it. You're basically trying to find a nice PC way to say outlaw Mudshows, right? The not as high quality shows, the trashy shows, the lesser than, the ones that have like 15 people in the audience, right? That's what I'm getting from your question. Let me clarify. There's absolutely nothing, NOTHING, nothing wrong with those type of promotions, those type of events. And I'll tell you why. But let me continue on with Justin's question. He said, traditionally, those are the promotions that he's worked for. Now that he's getting back into wrestling, should that be where he goes to pick back up? Or should he be trying to get on higher quality promotions and bookings? He also says that he likes to work for one specific independent promotion and help try to build it up and show loyalty and things of that nature. That's just how he works. And I totally appreciate that. And this is a fantastic question. And I'm glad you asked it, because there are a lot of people that are going to be watching this and they're going to be in a similar situation. Look, there are a number of those type of promotions around where I currently live. I have friends that work there. I send students there to work. I know people that run them, that book them, that's the only bookings they ever do. They're loyal. That's their home promotion. There's nothing wrong with them, as long as you're honest with yourself. Now, if you're wrestling for one of these promotions and, oh, we're better than WWE, or we're the best $10 ticket in town, or whatever, okay, now you're dealing in hyperbole. Be honest with what you are. I send students to these type of promotions often because it's easy to get booked on them, right? You just show up, you've got your gear, they'll put you on the card. You help set up the ring, they'll put you on the card. You know somebody that's on the card and they vouch for you, they'll put you on the card. Look, when I was first starting out, my first 1 to 3 years, give or take in, I would find shows wherever I could when I was not booked, and I would take my stuff and I would do whatever I could to help out. And I'd say, hey, I got my gear in the car. Wink, right? And that is a very good technique to get your first initial bookings, right? Because the friction to gain entry is very low, to use a marketing term, right? So it's easy to get on those shows. There's nothing wrong with those type of bookings. There's nothing wrong with those type of events. But at some point, when you don't want to work for free, or a handshake and a hot dog, brother, or you're wanting to get higher quality bookings because you're wanting to work for TNA or MLW or NWA, you're trying to move up that hierarchy to be noticed by AEW and WWE. You want to start working more quality places. That's totally fine. Being loyal to a single independent promotion is not a bad idea either. A lot of wrestlers will have what they call their home promotion. Usually it's the promotion attached to their school, right? Because you're attached to the school, there is an emotional connection to that promotion. And so, like, as an example, what I consider my home promotion, and I make every single event that we do, is AML Wrestling. AML, Future Stars, Genesis, our student showcase, the training center, WrestleCade, like all of that stuff. Those are priorities for bookings for me. Now, I have people that are like, hey, we want to bring you in to consult, maybe check out, see what we're doing, give us some ideas and some feedback and some coaching to what we can do better. And, or maybe come in and do a seminar or be a guest coach. And I'm like, yeah, sure. What date did you have in mind? Because you got to understand that those AML and WrestleCade bookings take precedence, and then so everything else would be down below it. So you got to be able to balance that, and that's fine. You're going to have conflicts too. And be like, hey, brother, we want to bring you in on the 28th. Hey, sorry, man, I'm already booked for AML that weekend or that day specifically. Do you have another date in the future that we could look at. I'm dealing with a couple of promotions up north, like West Virginia and Pennsylvania, and we're talking June, July timeframe now, so that we're not having any type of conflict, just to make sure that we're able to get it in and get it booked and get everything taken care of, so that there's no questions later. So having what you consider a loyal or a prominent or a home promotion is totally fine. Now, to get to the meat and potatoes, should you go back to those promotions? I think absolutely. If you have a connection there, if you know somebody there, if you have somebody that is willing to go ahead and book you, knowing you've been out for 3 years, heck yeah, take it. Go take those bookings. Go get your go warm back up. Get your toe back in the pool, right? Get used to being back in professional wrestling. Build out your Rolodex, your database, your whatever vernacular you want to use for your pool of who you can contact and who you know, because it's changed. Pro wrestling changes so much day to day. I can't even imagine 3 years later, like who's still wrestling and who's not. I took a break in the late 2000s, got back into it in 2010. It was like, yeah, there were a handful of people that were still doing it, but there was this whole new group. And half the people I knew were retired or weren't doing it anymore. So you definitely want to do that and get your toe back in the water. But you want to work towards better quality. So if you're brand new and you're scratching and clawing for every booking you can get, and one of these Renegade or Mudshow type promotions that draws 30 people is giving you a booking twice a month, every month, no questions asked, and they're not paying you anything. They're paying you in exposure bucks, which, look, there's nothing wrong with that. They got to know who you are before they can want to put you on television. So I get it. But a lot of people will use those exposure bucks as a way to get free labor, because promoting a professional wrestling event is super expensive. A lot of people don't understand how expensive. So anytime a promoter can cut corners or can cut costs, they're going to. So you're an asset. But when you start asking, hey man, can I get $20 for gas? And you start to become less of an asset, that's kind of the writing on the wall. You've gotten all you can get out of that promotion. You want to leave professionally. You don't want to burn bridges, but also at the same time, you have to say, hey, I got to look out for me and what's best in my interest. And that is over there, not over here. And so that can be difficult, because we all want to be liked and we all want to get along with everybody. And some people may not like that and say, oh, if you're not going to stay here, then F you. And, they lambast you on social media, and it's just a part of dealing with people. But you have to look at yourself realistically. Let's say the quality promotion that you're trying to work for, are you good enough to get on that show? Is your presentation good enough to be on that show? I know a lot of well-intentioned individuals that are great human beings, but they're just not good enough to be on some of the shows that I am a part of, that I help produce. And then they're like, hey, how do I get on these shows? And I give them the, come and provide value and show that you're a good hand and you're a decent human being. But then you also have to find a way to show that you're something that we can use and that you can actually wrestle, and make sure that your presentation looks good. And somewhere along the line, one of those suggestions falls short. Their gear looks like crap. They look like they shopped at Hot Topic for their gear. Their wrestling's just not good. They don't have a relatable character. It's very generic. They're not fully fleshed out, or they're a shitty human being, or they can't take direction, or, oh, I'm too good to do that, or, ooh, I'm not losing, or, they have those type of attitudes. So you have to take a serious audit on yourself and say, hey, am I good enough to get on that quality show? And then it comes down to, maybe the booker doesn't like you. Maybe there's no spot for you right now. It doesn't mean there won't be in 6 to 8 months. You can't think now. Plant the seeds now to, harvest the fruit and the fruits of your labor later on, when, you've put in that work, and maybe you've shown up and you've done security or done ring crew for the last 3 shows. You've shown that you can be reliable and you can take direction and things of that nature. If they have a seminar where you can get a chance to get in the ring and show what you can do and show your character, and be like, hey, the first 20 guys that send me a message are going to get in a battle royal. There are some guys that are like, no, F that. I'm not doing a battle royal. That sucks. That's for newbies. Well, guess what? It's an opportunity for you to put your foot in the door. I know several wrestlers that currently wrestle for AML that did similar things, and now they're in prominent positions. Success is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So starting with those renegade outlaw mud show places isn't bad. Get your reps in, get your experience up, get your name out there, sell a few t-shirts, but then eventually you do have to look at becoming more than that, and you have to separate yourself from those. Now, there is a point where if you've been doing this for like 20, 30 years and you've got a name about you and you have a little bit of a reputation and some notoriety, you can work those events and it doesn't do anything against you because they're like, he's taking the payday. It's all good. But when you've been wrestling for 20 years and you've never gotten above those renegade outfits, they start to, there's the saying, what is it? You know, uh, Something, the company you keep or something like that, where people associate you with who you hang out with, and if all you do is work for these renegade places, these misfits, these outcasts, these mud shows, then they start to assume that that's what you are and that's the quality you're at, and that can be a very tough stigma to break out of. So I definitely warn you on that one. But when you're first starting out, sure, go ahead and do it.